Good morning, YouTube. Reseller Mom here. Welcome to today's video. Today is Friday, TGIF. It is April 2nd, 2021, and I want to do a very quick video going over the basics of what a resale certificate is and how it applies to you selling on Amazon FBA. So if you're just new to selling on Amazon or selling on eBay, you might be seeing this term tossed around, and this is going to go over the very basics of this term. So resale certificates are also sometimes called reseller permits. It depends on the state and where you're at what it's going to be called, but it's essentially the same thing. Kind of like calling a soda a pop or a pop a soda. It means the same thing. So reseller certificates, if you go over to Google and do a quick Google search, you will see the definition, and it is to allow retailers and wholesalers to purchase items for resale without paying sales tax, and for manufacturers to purchase ingredients or components to make a new article for sale without paying sales tax. This essentially says that the states would rather collect the sales tax on the end sale of the item and not the beginning. For instance, if I have an Amazon item I'm buying for $10 and I'm selling it for $30, and the state says that they want 10% tax on the sale of that item, they would rather have 10% of the $30 sale and not the $10 sale. If you're paying it both on the $10 sale and the $30 sale, you're essentially paying double sales tax. And while the state, I'm sure, thanks you, by law, you do not need to pay the tax twice on that. You just need to pay the tax on the final sale of that item. So if I go over to my state, it's issued by the state, and they cost money. Washington costs about $200. I'm going to say it's 2 years. It's either 2 years or 4 years to get your permit. Nevada is, I can't remember how many years, but it was cheaper. It was about $75 to get my permit in Nevada. So I have my permit in a couple states because I shop in a couple of states with the intent to resell. So you need to get one for whatever state you are shopping in. Now, if you're doing online orders and you're having it shipped to your place in whatever state, then you just need it for that wherever your stuff is being delivered. That can kind of get tricky if you have third-party packers that are in different states. You may need to get a resale permit for that state because you're having it delivered to a different state than where you're living at. But I'm in Washington, and for the most part I buy things in Washington, so I need to get my reseller permit in Washington. When I go to Nevada, I use my permit that's in Nevada. So you type in whatever reseller permit for your state. You're going to find the Department of Revenue for your state, and this one's going to go over all of the ins and outs of what that is for Washington state. Each state is a little bit different. They may have a little bit different cost, length of time. The overall generalness of it is kind of the same, though. They're going to want to know your business name. You're going to want to know your address, phone number, and it's been so long since I've done one, I can't remember what the other needs are, but you register with the state. They're going to issue your reseller permit, and then you're going to have to go in and make sure the taxes get paid on that. So Washington files monthly. Some states file quarterly, but you want to go in there and make sure that you are paying the state their cut of the sales tax that you collect on the sale of your items. Okay, we're not going to go get into that because there's 50 different states, 50 different ways to do this. Figure it out for your own state and get very know how to do it for your own state before asking. Well, that's a bad way to say it. When I look at Facebook, a lot of people are just asking blanket questions, and it's hard for others to answer because it's different for each state. So the other day I saw a question about Florida. Well, I don't know anything about how you do it in Florida because I don't have one in Florida. So be specific with which state you're asking your question about, or go to your state's website and ask. I did at the very beginning call. They usually have a phone number, And you can call and say, this is what I'm doing. I'm setting up an online business. I'm selling through Amazon. What do I need to do, or what's required for my state for permits or whatnot? And they usually are very nice, or they have been to me. And they will tell you, yes, you need this permit or this license, and you will need to have these items to get those license. Okay, so for this Washington state, to apply for a new reseller permit, you're going to need to create a login. That login is where you go to pay your sales tax every month, and you do the request through that. I might have needed an EIN, so you may need an EIN to do this. Okay, so you're going to fill out the questions. You're going to pay the state their fees, because of course they want to pay their fees. This was the same thing. And you're going to get a reseller permit in the mail. This is what it looks like. I think it actually came through email, and it was a PDF. So you're going to want to save that PDF, because that is what you're going to upload to all your wholesalers. Any online sales that you do, you're going to need this permit in PDF format to easily attach to an email or upload on a form. You're also going to want to print it out. Now, the first page is what you need. The second page is the fine print. If you really want to read the fine print, you can do that. It's pretty dry. This is what the money is. This is the gold. This is the piece of paper you need for everything. I carry 5 to 10 copies in my wallet at all times of mine. That is my reseller permit for Washington, because when you go to stores, some stores need to keep a copy. And a lot of times, if you only have one copy and they want to make a copy of it, their copy machine ain't working. It takes the clerk forever to go get it. It's easier if I just print out 5 and stick them in my purse. Some people stick them in their glove box, wallet, whatever. Keep a couple copies on hand. The number right here is your number. You're going to get issued this magical number that is like your Social Security, and it is the number that you're going to put into any cash register that needs your permit number, or online service that needs your reseller ID. And in this example, it's 600, 600, 600. Mine I know by heart, so I've memorized it like my social, and it's kind of similar to my social now, so sometimes I get confused. I don't memorize too many numbers anymore. We were talking about that with phone numbers, and they said, "What's your son's phone number?" And I'm going, "Geez, we got him the phone." But now with all the numbers being in the phone these days, you don't memorize numbers like you used to. All right, so then it's going to have the address of your business, etc., and what your permit can purchase. For my reselling business, I have just the basic permit. For general merchandise and stuff. There is extra permits if you want to do, I think it's like cigarettes and alcohol and things like that. Farms. Oh, I can do farm stuff. I cannot do promotional items or gifts. Personal items for household use. That is important. So anything you purchase with your reseller permit is with the intent to sell it and then pay the sales tax off of that sale. So, if you go to Home Depot and you're buying, I don't know, whatever, we'll just say, electrical outlets with the intent to resell them, you use your permit. If you're going to Home Depot to buy a holder or a tape gun, we'll just say a tape gun, that is used to work with, you do not use your reseller permit. Now, there's some other guidelines on there if you have a mixed cart full of stuff, and I believe it is something to the extent of if everything that you're buying for is for the majority to resell, you can use your reseller permit, which would be something like if you go to Staples and let's say you buy 50 backpacks to resell, and then you also need a ream of paper because you're out of printer paper at the office. You can go ahead and throw that in if your total is $200 in backpacks and then $6 in copy paper. You can go ahead and use your reseller permit. But look up what it is for your state and whatnot. I usually just separate my orders, so I'll do 2 checkouts, one with my tax exempt and one with not my tax exempt. So know what the law is and all of that. The stores are going to retain your information and keep track of your purchases. So when the state goes, "Oh geez, what did Reseller Mom's business do, and where did she spend her money, and does that match up with how much tax she is claiming? Do the numbers match up? If the state sees you saving, or not saving, but not paying tax on, we'll just say $500 of tax money, and then you're submitting $2 in tax money, they're going to see a large discrepancy, and you can get into some serious trouble. I like to operate always in the legally. I like to operate legally. There are some abusive people out there. Please don't make it any harder for the rest of us that are trying to operate legally. Know the rules. Okay, so this sample permit, keep close in your wallet. When I go to Vegas, I have a reseller permit for the state of Nevada. It was, I think, $75. I print that out because in Nevada you have to leave the permit, a copy of it, with each time you shop. You have to fill it out, the date, you have to sign it, you have to fill out how much you paid, and you have to leave that with the store. So each state does it a little bit differently. There you go. Find out what your state is. Now, let's talk a little bit about different stores and what's going on with different stores. The first example I brought up here is the Dollar Tree. A good way to start out with selling on Amazon is books, home goods, office supplies, and something that's really easy or cheap, small capital investment is bundles at the Dollar Tree. I still sell stuff from the Dollar Tree. They have some great little items that move. You can group them up and sell them. They have some seasonal items. I've been shopping at the dollar store for a long time. They have a few ways of doing things. One is either in the store and the other is online. For the online part, I have created an account and uploaded or sent in my reseller permit, and when I go to check out, there's a little box that says, is this a tax exempt purchase? And I click yes, yes it is. And then the tax gets taken off of my total and I check out, and there we go. I usually have it shipped free to the store, which is nice, and then I go and I pick up that order and I don't pay any sales tax on it. When my stuff sells on Amazon, they submit on my behalf for Washington the tax collected on those items, and everybody's happy. Now, when I go into the store, this is where it gets a little hairy. I've been selling online, online for 6 years, and there has been 3 different ways in the store that Dollar Tree has done their business for tax exempt over the 6 years. When I first started out, they had a sheet of paper that you had to fill out, and it was kind of a long form, and you had to fill it out every time you checked out to get tax exempt. Then they switched, and you could just tell them your number, that special number that I talked about right here, and they would enter it into the computer. And they also want to look at this just to verify it's you. So they put in the number, they glance at your reseller permit, put it back in your purse, and they put in the number into the computer, and boom, you're done. Now, I went in just a couple weeks ago, and they gave me a business card that it's now different. They're going to give you some sort of electronic barcode to check out with the stores once you do it. So, my point in bringing this up is every store is different, and sometimes they will change how they do things, and you need to know what the newest procedure is. I see a lot of blanket questions on Facebook on how do I use a tax exempt certificate? Okay, that is so broad, it's hard for people to answer you. If you say, how do I use a tax exempt certificate for the Dollar Tree in Florida, that would be a much better question if you are having problems with a store or whatnot, just because the procedures are different from store to store, state to state, and it can get a little bit confusing and crazy. So you'll want to Google your store that you're going to and type in whatever Dollar Tree tax exempt, and you will find pages like this for just about everybody, and they will tell you what to do exactly. Now, the 2 stores that I've had problems with over in the past is Burlington and Walgreens, telling me that they don't take tax exempt purchases, which is incorrect. They just didn't know how to do it. So if you run into that where you know they do take it and they're at the store saying they don't necessarily argue with the manager. You don't want to burn a bridge. You want to just say, okay, well, I'm sorry. I was under the impression you did. I will be contacting customer service, and if they email me back and say that I'm actually right, would you be willing to redo my receipt and refund the tax on it? And most of the time they will say yes, of course. If they are wrong, they will redo the receipt for you. And then you're going to email or call, create a case, whatever company you're talking with, and get that email that states that they do take tax exempt, purchases, and how to do it or what to do. And they will usually call the store. So you want to know who you talked to, what the store was, etc. when you're doing these types of issues. And I, for one, believe that we all should be doing this so that the stores know how to do these tax exempt purchases, because as soon as you don't, I don't want to say fight them, but as soon as you don't correct them, it's going to be harder for the next reseller. So anyhow, in my area, I have corrected Walgreens and Burlington, and I keep those emails handy in my phone so that if I go to one and they don't know it, then I can pull up the email and say, listen, I just spoke to your customer service people 6 months ago and they informed me you do. Here's how you do it. Okay, we're going to do another example here. This is Lowe's. Lowe's and Home Depot, you make an account and you show, you can put it into the computer when you're at the store. They give you a little printout that I keep in my purse that tells me my account number with those stores. For the online, they have a certain portal that you go through for tax exempt purchases. Staples and Office Depot gave me a hard card, like a debit card type of card. Walmart, I had to go to customer service and spend about 30 minutes giving them my stuff and filling out something to get a paper card that you use to check out. But each company is different. Now, what if they don't take tax exempt? Because there are companies out there, and you don't know if you're just starting out who does and who doesn't. So let's go through that. If you are wondering whether a store takes tax exempt or not, type in the store name. For this one, I did Ross, and I either put tax exempt or resale certificate, one of the two, into Google, and you get the store policies. And this right here outlines, can I use tax exemption certificate to shop tax-free at Ross Dress for Less? And the other question is, does Ross Dress for Less accept resale certificate? So the short answer is they do, but only for charitable organizations, and they prohibit selling merchandise to any company or person that buys with the intent to resell the goods to someone else. So you want to know the store's policy before going in. You don't want to argue with them if it clearly states that their store policy is one way or the other. Ross will not take your reseller permit no matter what. If you were a charitable organization, then you could use a tax exempt permit that is completely different than the business tax exempt certificate that you are doing right now. When I was in the PTA, I was treasurer for a long time, and we would purchase prizes for bingo and things like that for the kids. Those can be tax exempt and whatnot. So it works a little bit different, but same intent as you're getting it for tax exempt. My state has had a little bit of problems because we used to take tax exempt for Oregon and for Canada. So states that did not collect sales tax, you could come into Washington and make tax exempt purchases, and about 2 years ago they stopped doing that, and the companies were a bit misinformed. They kept thinking that applied for everyone, and I'm like, no, this is for company business resale certificates, not out of state resale tax. For Kohl's, some people have said that Kohl's has taken their reseller permit. I have spoken with them and they have said no. If you are a little nervous about asking a manager in the store, you can always call and play ignorant. Call the store and say, hey, I'm trying to see if you guys take tax exempt for business. Do you guys do that? What's your procedure? If you are afraid to going into the store, and they usually can tell you some information over the phone. You can also call corporate and give them your questions as well and get some information there if you don't want to Google or if you're confused with the outcome of Google. So Kohl's states right here, Be advised that resale tax exemptions will not be honored, as Kohl's does not sell to individuals or dealers for the purpose of resale to others. Target has the same thing on their page. I would say the top 3 for resellers is Kohl's, Target, Ross, that don't accept reseller permits. I have heard people getting away with the Kohl's and that they will do it, but not in my state. So, again, if you are having trouble or not wanting to ask inside the store, because maybe you don't want to be pegged for a reseller if you're kind of unsure, right? You don't want to be asked to leave the store. If you're asking questions, give them a call. And you don't have to give them your name. They're not going to call you back or anything. You just play ignorant and ask what their policies are. And I always say, I'd rather ask you what your policy is instead of trying to ask when I'm checking out. I'd rather know what your policy is going into the store so that I know exactly what I'm doing and what you're doing, and so that we can have an easy trip, because I'm a law-abiding citizen, etc., and I want to be compliant in all of your policies. Okay. So the other thing with Kohl's and Ross is when I am shopping in there, I do not state I'm a reseller. I'm a little bit more stealthy in my purchasing than, say, if I'm at a tax exempt or a reseller friendly store like Big Lots. I walked into Big Lots yesterday, bought about $300 worth of stuff. They know me. They know what I'm doing. I'm in the system. When they punch in my number, they know my business. They know what I'm doing. They know where I'm at. They know everything about me. There's no reason to hide. They are reseller friendly, and I love shopping at those stores because oftentimes they know I'm coming, and if they see me getting one thing, they'll say, "Oh, do you want more? We have more in the back." Or have you seen this new product? And it's really good to build those types of relationships, but know your store going into it. All right, that's kind of all I can think about right now. It's not like I said, once you do the process and you get your certificate and see what it's all about and get registered with all the stores, it's pretty easy and not that mysterious anymore. Some stores, gosh, there was one store I had to actually fax in, and I hadn't done a fax in 10 years, but I had to figure out how to email a fax number to get my reseller certificate uploaded to them. A lot of places you just email the PDF or upload the PDF to their website, especially wholesalers, and a lot of wholesalers are going to want to see your resale certificate. That's kind of like that shows that you are a business set up with the intent to resell and not just a regular customer. So, alright, that's it, guys. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Thanks for joining me. I am off to go pick up some online orders for pickup, and I'm getting out, about 4 boxes of stuff today. So pretty happy, and it's beautiful out. I hope everybody's enjoying the spring. I think I got to get some dirt. I got to work on my garden. It's getting time to get out in the soil and get my hands dirty. Take care.